You are welcome to the Messiah channel. This is an end time channel that discusses end time events. And today we are discussing an end time event, the identity of the black Hebrew will be found in the last days. In the last days, the Hebrew who doesn't know he's a Hebrew, the Hebrew who has lost his identity, will find that identity, and it will be by a supernatural means. And before I discuss that, I want to tell you that we have two types of the children of Jacob. The book of Isaiah talks about the outcasts of Israel and the dispersed of Judah. The two groups, the outcasts of Israel and the dispersed of Judah, they will come together as one. And the prophecy is very clear. So today I will direct you to the scripture in the book of Ezekiel chapter 37 verse 16 to 17. So let's look at the book of Ezekiel chapter 37 verses 16 to 17. One nation under one king. There's going to be a Hebrew nation. It will be one nation under one king, our King Yeshua, the Messiah, Jesus Christ, the Lion of the tribe of Judah. He will be the king and he will rule one nation. It will no longer be two nations. And the prophet Ezekiel talked about it in Ezekiel chapter 37 verses 16 to 17. Moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick and write upon it for Judah and for the children of Israel, his companion. Then take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel, his companions. Verse 17, and join them one to another into one stick. Join them one together into one stick, and they shall become one in thy hand. And so that is the prophecy that the two sticks will come together in the last days. One stick representing the outcasts of Israel, and the other stick representing the dispersed of Judah. The Lord will supernaturally join them together and they will become one. When some commentators talk about Ezekiel chapter 37 and Ezekiel chapter 38, they refer to a group of people who think they are the chosen of God. They talk about the Jews, but they do not talk about the Hebrews, the black Hebrews who are scattered over the world. The sticks will come together, the two sticks will come together. The outcasts of Israel and the dispersed of Judah. And there's no other place that explains this principle better than the book of Isaiah chapter 11 verse 11, because the prophet Isaiah is saying that on that day the Messiah will gather the outcasts of Israel and the dispersed of Judah, and he named the places where they will be gathered from, even from Cush in Ethiopia, from Elam, from Patros, and from the islands of the sea, Trinidad, Tobago included in the sea, Jamaica included in the sea, Haiti included in the island of the sea. And so a time will come when that prophecy in Ezekiel chapter 37, verses 16 to 17 will be fulfilled. And the second event that will be fulfilled is that the Hebrew Israelites will not die off. The black people who they call Negroes, those who were enslaved and taken into captivity, based upon Deuteronomy chapter 28, they will not die off. They cannot be extinguished. They cannot be exterminated. And if you look at the history, their king, the Messiah, they tried to exterminate him. Even the wicked king Herod tried to kill the Messiah, but the Lord supernaturally, he took the Messiah and he provided a hiding place for him. Satan also tried to exterminate Moses, but the Lord supernaturally defended, protected Moses, even in the river Nile. And not long after that, Pharaoh and his army tried to exterminate the whole contingent of the Hebrews, but the Lord supernaturally delivered them in one of the greatest battle of Elohim, the battle that took place on the sea floor in the Red Sea. Not long after that, the Amalekites tried to exterminate the Hebrews, but the Lord delivered them, and the Lord has kept a remnant that will live to fulfill the prophecy that nobody can exterminate the Hebrews. The Hebrews will not die off. In the modern times, Satan and his agents have tried to exterminate the Hebrews, the black Hebrews, if you will, and the recent attempts by the Western powers, the Gentile powers, to enforce LGBTQ agenda on the black Hebrews is an attempt to exterminate, to extinguish their voices, and to depopulate them. In the United States, the Planned Parenthood movement was designed to exterminate the black Hebrews through abortion, and they built so many abortion and sterilization clinics in black neighborhood, in Hebrew neighborhood, with intent to exterminate the Hebrews. Not only that, wars were instigated and have been instigated to exterminate the Hebrews. And if you take the country of Congo, the place in Africa where you have the Bantus who are Hebrews, not long after independence, almost 10 million people died through starvation and through genocide by the European powers, particularly Belgium, because Congo was considered as a personal property of King Leopold II because of the infamous Berlin Conference that partitioned the land of Africa among the Gentile European powers. The attempt to depopulate the Hebrews involve schemes and manipulations and strategies. And so it's no wonder that Henry Kissinger, American Secretary of State, wrote a memo in 1974 recommending ways to depopulate the African continent. That was a sinister, and if you call a satanic move by the Secretary of State of the United States to recommend the depopulation of the entire African continent. In fact, it would be the wish of some people that the Hebrews would die, the Africans would die, so that they can steal their resources. And so when Henry Kissinger recommended that the population of Africa should be depopulated, diminished, I believe that he had an agenda in sight. But I'm here to tell you that the black Hebrew will not die off. The Hebrew Israelites will not die off. And at the time of making this video, wars have been instigated. So many inventions have been made with the intent to cause war, to cause mayhem, overtly and covertly. Researches have been done, researches involving diseases, whether you're talking about HIV, whether you're talking about Ebola, whether you're talking about C-19. We are talking about researches that involve the use of human beings as a means of testing whether the Hebrew race can be erased, can be eradicated. And so I will not forget the infamous Tuskegee syphilis experiment that took place in the United States from 1932 to 1972, 40 years. An infamous experiment where black Hebrews were infested with syphilis, and they were not treated because the researchers were waiting for them to die, so their bodies will be used for autopsies, and the autopsies will be used to find out how blacks and whites respond differently to syphilis and STD, sexually transmitted disease. Despite all these efforts, the black Hebrew is not dead. It's still alive. And they have used all means, even including environmental strategies, the dumping of toxic waste on the continent of Africa with the intent to depopulate the African continent and to be able to depopulate the black Hebrews. We cannot forget the many Hebrews who died, the Holocaust of the Hebrews, who suffered from the ravages of the transatlantic slave trade, including those who were thrown into the Atlantic Ocean, including those who were shot, including those who were incarcerated, including those who were tormented for them to have so many diseases, including heart attacks, including high blood pressure, including stroke, because they think about the condition to which they have been subjected. Not forgetting about the wars that have gone on in the world, the wars in Africa, the wars that have an intent to depopulate the African continent, the wars that are still going on. So the point I'm making is that the Hebrew Israelites will not die off. And the last thing that I will also want to say is that the lost black Hebrew will find his identity in the last days. So let's go over a little bit how the lost identity came about, how the black Hebrew lost his identity. He lost his identity through slavery and captivity. And when they were subjected to captivity, they lost their identity, they lost their oral history, they lost the laws and the statutes that the Lord gave them. They lost their identity through miseducation. The captors intentionally miseducated the Hebrews, and so not long after they were captured, they were stripped of their culture. Their names were changed the same way that the names of the Hebrew boys in Babylon, Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, their names were changed. The names, the culture, and the identity of the black Hebrews were lost through these devices and schemes. And some people intentionally stole their identity. And so the Messiah said in Revelation 2:9, Revelation 3:9, we will expect in the last days the blasphemy of those who call themselves that they are Hebrews, but they are not. They are the synagogue of Satan. How did the black Hebrews lose their identity? I've already explained that. How will the black Hebrews find their identity? They will find their identity in the last days, and it will be through supernatural awakening that will come. The prophet Jeremiah said in Jeremiah 31 verse 10 that he who scattered the Hebrews will also gather them. And I believe that before the Hebrews are gathered, they will be awakened, and the awakening will come through supernatural means. And so when I made a video that the prophet Jeremiah appeared to me in a vision regarding the gathering of the scattered Hebrews in America, that is one of the visions that I'm talking about. The prophet Joel in Joel 2:28 says that in the last days, the Lord Elohim will speak to his people through visions and dreams. And so the awakening will come, and I believe that many millions of Hebrews, black Hebrews, they will be awakened through supernatural means, through visions. They will be empowered through research to find the Lord's identity. And that's why a Hebrew, Rudolph Windsor, he found that from Babylon they came to Timbuktu. And the people who fled from Babylon and settled in Timbuktu, they are Hebrews. And that book has made tremendous impact The awakening is still continuing, and in the last days, there are people who are doing the awakening. And that's why I found the work of Ronald Darton very important. A Hebrew, a black American in the United States who wrote volumes of books, 4 volumes about Hebrews to Negroes. It's one of the awakenings that is going on in the last days. I will also not forget another brother, Dante Fortstein, also a Hebrew in America, who is in the forefront of awakening the Hebrew who are scattered over the world. The internet is helping to spread the awakening of the Hebrew throughout the world. It was foretold in the prophecy of Daniel that in the last days knowledge will increase. So even if the internet was developed for another purpose, the Lord has allowed his servants to spread the awakening of the Hebrew to all the 4 corners of the earth. But Satan and his agents, they will not stop influencing the spread of the awakening of the Hebrew. But we have to know that what God has decreed, no man can put aside. No man can stop the awakening of the black Hebrew throughout the 4 corners of the earth. If you are assigned a duty to awaken the Hebrew, consider that duty as a divine responsibility, as a divine duty. Because in the last days, the Lord is counting on you to awaken the Hebrews who are scattered to all the 4 corners of the earth. And you will have to spread the awakening even to the point of martyrdom. They will try to eliminate you by foul or fair means. They will try to suppress your information, and if possible to take you out. But you cannot relent, because the Lord has promised that he who overcomes the lot of benefits, you will reign with the king in the kingdom that is coming now. The Lord is about to gather the scattered of Israel and the dispersed of Judah. And no amount of intimidation can stop the awakening of the Hebrews. Thank you for listening to this message. I'm leaving the links to the video in the description box. Subscribe to the channel. Spread the awakening news. It is an end time event. It is one of the events that are scheduled on Elohim's calendar, because the Messiah himself will come and he will be the one who will lead the gathering of the Hebrews from all the 4 corners of the earth, as Moses led the first exodus of the Hebrews from Egypt, the land of captivity. Thank you for watching this video, and thank you for your comments. Spread the news, spread the awakening. The time has come. The time has come.